It's 2007, I'm a new salesperson. My boss walks into the room and says, here's 10 accounts, go get them. The first account is a company called Veterinary Pet Insurance, so I spend 2.5 hours writing the perfect email. And I send that perfect email to 10 different people inside that company, hoping that one of them was the decision maker. But guess what? Not one of those 10 people were the decision maker. But all 10 of those people sent my email to the decision maker, this guy named Leo. So there's Leo, comes into work Monday, fires up his Gmail, and he says, oh my gosh, there's 10 emails, all from this guy named Josh. They're all the same. It was like he got a 10-touch sequence all at once. Now, do you think Leo responded to the email? Oh, he did. I have it. You guys want to see it from 2000? Here's the email. I've had your email forwarded to me by 10 people already, and I really hate it when people do this. I understand you're trying to do your job, but people in an organization trying to get me to respond is a lot of hassle for me because it ends up in multiple emails from lots of people that I don't know. So please stop this practice. It really puts us off to a bad start. I hate it when vendors use this tactic. After I got that email, I swore that I never wanted to make a bad first impression again, which got me thinking, why do first impressions matter so much? They matter because when you make a good first impression, people want more of you. And when they want more of you, you have more conversations, and the more conversations you have, the more money you make. But the flip side, if you make a bad first impression, people want less of you, and the less of you they want, the fewer conversations you have, and the fewer conversations you have, the less money you make. So what I'd like to talk to you today about is how to make a really good first impression in direct mail, LinkedIn, email, and even through gatekeepers. How are we going to do that? What the heck is a good first impression? About a year ago, it was Tuesday at 11 o'clock at night. I was on my computer, and I got an email from a company called Photo Jojo that sells iPhone accessories. I was bored and clicked it and went on the website. And after like 30 seconds, this little pop-up showed up. I figured it was like a little bot, and it said, want to hear a joke? Now, it's Tuesday night at 11 o'clock. I'm in a playful mood. So I say, sure. And the robot named Jerome says, knock, knock. I say, who's there? And Jerome says, cows go. I say, cows go who? And Jerome says, no, cows go moo. And that was funny, but I wanted to test the bot. So I typed in this. That's a good one, Jerome. You want to hear one? And the robot said, of course. Turns out, that's not a robot. Somebody's job at Photo Jojo is to tell jokes to people that are coming on their website at 11 o'clock at night. Knock, knock. Who's there? Little old lady. Little old lady who? Me. I didn't know you could yodel. Jerome, there's a lot about me you don't know. And 10 minutes later, I spent $180 fucking on iPhone accessories. Now, do you think when Photo Jojo ships the lens for your iPhone that the shipping notification looks like this? No, the shipping notification is actually written from the thing you ordered. Dear Josh, Jelly Lens Kit here. I just found out I'm heading to you, and I couldn't be happier. I've been wanting to experiment with panorama glitching and just need that special human touch to really get it right. We'll learn so much together. See you soon. Stay snappy. That made me feel good, and that's how I wanted my prospects to feel the first time I reached out to them. And that's what I want to teach you tonight. How are we going to do it? We're going to actually tell you a story through the perspective of this guy. Does anyone have any idea who in the world that is? Some of you all came. Do you guys know who that is? That is Zelda. So what I want to do is I want to take you back to the land of Hyrule. And what we're going to do here is tell you the story. And the name of the story is How to Book Meetings with Elves. Elves, like as in your prospects. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a guy named Link who lived in level 1 in a land called Hyrule. And his job, his only job, was to take care of lovely Princess Zelda. One day something terrible happened. This guy named Ganyan came out from level 9 and stole Princess Zelda and took her all the way to level 9 and held her captive in a terrible prison. Not quite as hot as this room, but pretty close. Now, Link lived in level 1. So Link did what all great boyfriends and husbands do. He went on a quest to go rescue the princess using his tool. And the tool he had was a brown sword. Just like your prospects have a tool to get their job done, he was getting the job done just fine, able to defeat level 1 and 2 monsters with no problem. Link wasn't looking for a new sword because his brown sword was doing the job. Just like when you reach out to your prospects, they're getting the job done too with their brown sword. You see, when you reach out to prospects, just like Link, he's in the blue zone of the struggleometer. If he was in the red zone, he'd be contacting you. They're getting the job done in the blue zone. But one day, just like your prospects, something changed. As Link went deeper into Hyrule, he bumped into level 3 enemies. And this is a bad MRFer. This guy's Lionel. And he is much stronger than any enemy he ever bumped into. And because of that, Link got a little hurt. He lost a heart, as you can see, in his life meter. But even though he was hurt, he was still able to make progress. And because he was able to make progress, he's not going to buy a new sword. You see, problems aren't enough to get you to switch. I have a pixel out on my TV, but I barely notice it, so I'm not buying a new TV. Only half my grill works, but I'm only cooking salmon for my wife and I, so I just moved the salmon over to the left-hand side of the grill. We will do what we can to not switch and spend the money because of anxiety and the risk of switching. So if I'm in the blue or the yellow zone, which is the majority of your prospects, I'll just use my brown sword. Link didn't know of any other way to get the job done. You see, the brown sword was all he knew, just like your prospects. They're using their brown sword too. He didn't even know that in levels 4 through 8, there were even stronger monsters waiting for him that could cause more damage to his hearts. Literally, with a slice, could knock out 2 hearts, like these guys, like Gilliad and Lamala. Luckily for Link, he got a letter in the mail from Will the Wizard, the greatest salesperson in all of Hyrule. This guy was really, really good. Now, in case you don't know the game, Will sells weapons, mostly, and these things called heart containers, which we won't get into on today's story. Because Will attended Flip the Script in Hyrule, which we did like 5 years ago, this is actually where the tour started in Hyrule, level 4. Beck doesn't really like to talk about it. He knew how to book meetings with elves, like he knew how to do it. So I want to show you exactly what he did, so you could steal his approach for your prospects. You guys can reverse engineer it. First, he had to get Link's attention. That's really hard, because people get about 3,000 messages a day when you consider radio and TV. So does anyone know what this is? It shows where your eyeballs go. It's kind of hard to see because the lighting in here is terrible. Hint, hint, someone with lighting. But on the top here are rectangles that are green. Those are animated banners. And when animated banners first came out, all the eyeballs went to the animated banners because they were new and shiny. But over time, because they were commonplace, people got blind to them, and now they ignore them. It's called banner blindness, and the same exact thing is happening now with cold email. I call it cold email blindness. So if you're sending emails off the internet from 101 templates, spoiler alert, so is everybody else. So if your emails sound like this, I saw you're an elf on LinkedIn, I specialize in this, I can show you a demo, just floating this to the top of your inbox. Any thoughts? My boss told me to contact you. I've tried to connect with you, but you don't know, are you interested? Is the timing off? Are you being chased by a hippo? You need to call animal control. If you're sending those, you are a white vanilla scoop in a sea of white vanilla scoops. So if you are the 20th scoop, you're going to get ignored because the brains ignore patterns. It's why you don't pay attention to every chair in this room. So to get attention, instead of being a white vanilla scoop, you have to be a green pistachio scoop. How do you do that? Well, this is a new piece of technology that many of you don't know. Will actually sent one of these. This is called an envelope. It's hard to describe, but you should hold it. It's not an app. And this is not a font. You actually write on it. It says Will the Wizard, Link, Hyrule, that's his name. There's a stamp over there. Now, when I was doing research for this, I didn't realize this, but Link actually has a last name. You guys know what it is? It's a Jewish guy. Everybody, my Jews here. Shai Leibowitz. Everybody. Okay, all right. And next he needed a first sentence. Did that work? I don't know. Okay. Next he needed a first sentence that would inspire Link to read the second sentence. So I study copywriting. The job of every sentence is to get someone to read the next sentence. How do you get someone to read a first sentence? Well, I like a technique called attention breaker. Look, dude, everybody knows we're selling stuff. When you go on their LinkedIn post and you say, I noticed this, they know what's coming. So my approach is, I'll just tell them, right? I'll just break the tension. I'll just clear the air. So this is what I'll often say. I know, another wizard telling you what you should and shouldn't do in Hyrule to rescue Princess Zelda, but please give me 4 more sentences before you burn this letter with a fireball. I'm just owning up to it. Another technique. Hi, Nick, I got your name from a B2B list. Congratulations on being list-worthy. I just kind of call it out. It's called a tension breaker. Just being real, just being honest. Next, I need to read Link's mind. If you can articulate what someone's thinking as if they were saying it, they're going to keep reading. Let me give you an example. I do triathlons. I'm going to give you 2 emails, A and B. You tell me which one's more interesting, all things being equal. A, we sell bike saddles. They are the most optimized bike saddles on the market. They've helped athletes like A and B and C ride 45% faster. Email B, Josh, I know you're training for an Ironman, which means on Saturday you're spending 6 hours in your bike. At hour 3, it happens. You get numbness and chafing. You got to get out of the aero bars and stop immediately because your lower back hurts. Which email, A or B? Because it's crispy. It's exactly what I would say. Any SDRs in the front row? As an SDR, one of the things you probably hate about your job is that you make 100 cold calls and barely talk to 2 or 3 people. Or you're sending email, this guy's nodding. He's actually nodding. Or you send email after email and you get little to no responses. And as you're nodding, the brain wants to keep reading because it's like, what do you have for me? This is not generic language. You can't get it from marketing. It's got to be crispy, specific language as if your prospects would say it. And I'm going to show you how to get it later. But here's what I call a mind reading tool. Here's what it sounds like in a letter. And you can use this with your prospects. What persona hate? What elves hate about going on quests is how long it takes to rescue princesses. Stuff like finding hidden caves, collecting gems, fighting Lionel, and replenishing hearts. See how crispy and specific that is? Crispy and specific. Next, as we talked about before, people like to dance with the devil they know. Now I'm going to show you a stealth copywriting technique. How do you get someone to think about their brown sword differently? And look at their brown sword and say, this might not be the sword for me. Because remember, we got to move that needle a little bit. We got to get them from yellow to orange. So I'm going to teach you a secret copywriting technique to do it. And I'm going to do that by telling you a story of when I was in the mall a year ago with my wife. I needed nothing. I was just trying to kill some time, so I went into a running store. I needed nothing. If the store associate said to me, what brings you in today? I'm saying nothing. If she said, do you have a problem with your shoes? I'm saying no. But she didn't do any of those things. Instead, she said, hey, Josh, I noticed you're a runner. I said, I am. She goes, how many miles do you run? I go, I do marathons. And then she said, have you ever had a gait test? I said, what is that? Moments later, I'm on a treadmill. And it's being recorded. And as you can see, my ankles are pronated in. And she said, do you know that if you're running in sneakers that are not made for pronated feet, you can get injured on long-distance runs? Now, as an old 50-year-old Jewish guy, that scares the bejesus out of me. She said, if you want, we could take a look at your sneakers to see if they're made for pronated feet, and they weren't, and moments later, I'm spending $200. She didn't ask about problems. She found a problem. She illuminated a problem that wasn't there, and that is a secret sales skill. Asking someone a question that gets them to think differently. It's called an illumination question. For chorus, how do you know what your best reps are saying on discovery calls that are closing more business than the rest of the reps? I don't know that. Illumination questions are powerful because we have to get people to think differently about the brown sword. People don't know what problems are around the corner, but you do. So let's actually see how we would write this. It's called an illumination tool. You're probably aware that there are enemies even more fierce in level 4. If he doesn't, he knows it now. And if he's getting hurt in level 3, imagine what's going to happen in level 4. Next, Will makes a deposit. Most of the time when you reach out to people, they're in the blue zone. So when we're asking for demos, it doesn't make much sense because they're not in the red zone. Here, I'll prove it to you. Raise your hand if you'd be here if this was a chorus demo. Do you think your prospects are different than you? And yet, when we send them 8 cadences, we're actually asking them for a demo. The only reason you're in this room is because Beck's making deposits, and I've made deposits, and now you're in this room. So I want to shift your perspective a little bit. How can we make a deposit? How can we give someone something of educational value so that when they are ready, they're more likely to meet with us? Imagine a catering company prospects Beck and says, we have the best catering in all of San Francisco, you want to meet. She's ignoring it. Imagine catering company B, Beck, noticed you're in San Fran, here's 3 restaurants within a walking distance of the venue that you can go to and 1 vegan restaurant for Josh. Next venue, she does the same. Next venue, Beck, I bet you're tired of catering food, I've shipped homemade sandwiches to the venue for you. And they do that for each stop on the tour, deposit, 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 deposit. Beck is going to be much more likely when she finishes the tour to meet with that catering company. And what salespeople are doing is they're going for the ask and the demo too soon. It's like meeting someone for the first time, staring into their eyes and saying, can I meet your parents? This just got a little creepy when I was watching Nick and looking in his eyes. So let's actually show how we can do this. 97% of prospects aren't in the red zone. Let's actually look at a couple deposits. What do they look like? Well, here's what it looks like. Since we rely on the success of elves, here's a book that I've enclosed with this letter that can help you find more hidden caves in level 4 through 8. Now that's interesting to link because hidden caves contain drinks that makes them healthier. Your prospects have something that would make them healthier too. Maybe the book will give you more heart containers, but I hope it will bring Zelda home faster. And now, let me show you a real example of this from an SDR who's been using this approach that I coach. His name is Andrew Haley. This is just 2 days ago. This is right off of LinkedIn. I have set 3 meetings with some of the biggest healthcare groups that he hasn't previously been able to do before just by making 3 or 4 deposits before the ask. Just by making 3 or 4 deposits. Let me show you what happens after you do the ask. You just include a low friction call to action, which is no call to action. Because if someone wants to respond to your email, they know how to respond to your email. You don't have to tell them, respond to my email. If someone gets enough deposits, like you guys did, you look and say, what's Josh's profile? What's his website? What's he selling? On your own. And yet what we're doing is saying, please schedule a demo with me. Godspeed on your quest, Will the Wizard. That's touch 1. And because I provided a book of educational value that's not pitching my product, and there's lots of other deposits we're going to look at, that's a good first impression. Now, chances are prospect's not going to respond. But I have examples where they actually do respond off the letter. But let's assume they don't respond. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to LinkedIn. Real stealth tactic. Most of the LinkedIn requests that I get every day is some version of, saw this, you want to connect. I'm selling this, you want to connect. That's not a deposit, that's a withdrawal. I don't want to be friends with a salesperson. I don't want to build rapport with a salesperson. I just want to level up and be better. I'm always going to want faster bike tires. So I'm going to share with you a format that you can use that will get you about 6 out of 10 LinkedIn requests accepted. And here it is. This is the one for link. A link. Here's a link to a free map that shows where you can find more heart containers in levels 4 through 8. If you like what you see, let's connect. If you don't, send me your best objection. Either way, Godspeed on your quest. And then I include a link to a document that I'm going to share with you after this presentation of what it is that I'm talking about. So here's the one I send all day. And I've amassed about 11,000 connection requests using this. So Matt, here's a free 24-page guide to help Gaggle, name of company, start more conversations with who they sell to. If you like what you read, let's connect. If not, send me your best objection. That's a deposit. Very different than the connection requests you're probably sending. So steal this format, find something from marketing perhaps, or a document that is making a deposit, making your prospect happier. Some information that they would find useful. Let's go to voicemail. That's the second deposit. I'm not going to say my name, not going to pitch my product. I'm going to make another deposit. And this deposit is going to be a little educational seminar that I'm going to offer as a salesperson, which is not a demo. Think of it as a little mini webinar where I'm going to teach them something. So this is the voicemail that I left for Beck that got a call back when she didn't know me that well. I said, hey, Beck, this is Josh. Love what you're doing, flip the script. The Chuck Jones stuff was interesting. Saw that you are not sold out for Austin. Got a couple ideas that might help. No need to call me back. I'm going to send you an email. This is Josh. And she got back to me because it was curious and it was focused on her and what would make her happier. So here's a voicemail that I would send. Link. I'm the one who thought it was a good idea to send you an ugly green envelope. No need to thank me. Anyway, we're sharing some lesser known information, not a demo. Very powerful language. We're sharing some lesser known information with elves related to defeating level 4 through 8 enemies in hours instead of days. You don't have to call me back. I'll shoot you off an email. This is Will the Wizard. And all this is you just sharing some information that would be helpful for this person with regards to what they want, which is defeating enemies. Not a product pitch, not a case study, not a brochure. Did Link respond? Let's assume he didn't. I'm going to go pick up the phone and call, and a gatekeeper answers. I want to rename gatekeepers. Nobody wants to feel like you're trying to get around them. It doesn't make you feel good to feel like you're less than, less important. So I'm going to come up with a new term. Instead of gatekeeper, we're going to actually call them a person. It's drastic. And we're just going to call them their name. And we're just going to have a conversation with them as if we were having it with the quote-unquote decision maker. So Stephanie, yes. You're going to be the gatekeeper. Okay. And you're just going to pick up the phone and you're going to say, hello. And I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying in my tonality. Okay? Because my intent isn't to book a meeting. It's to offer something educational. And it feels better to offer education than to pitch a demo. Because you're coming from a giving place. And I'm going to be real calm. Because if she's not interested, I'm not going to push. Because the world's a big place. My intent isn't to book and to push. It's to see if they're open to learning about something. And if they are, that's okay. And if they're not, that's okay too. So pick up the phone and say hello.
Hi, this is Flip LLC. This is Stephanie speaking.
Stephanie, you sound really calm. Do you do yoga? Is it like Ashtanga? Are you a vegan? Like, what's the deal with you?
Oh, well, thanks. Who's this?
My name is Josh, and would you like to know why I'm calling, or do you want to just hang up on me right now? Do you want to talk to a stranger today? Are you in the mood for that, Stephanie?
Sure, I have some time.
Okay, excellent. Are you in the middle of lunch? I hear you eating toast. Is it avocado toast? You live in San Francisco.
I do, yes. I live in the Bay Area.
Okay. So the reason that I'm calling is I'm not sure if this is something Link would be interested in, but I know he's on this quest to rescue the princess. Which, how's that going, by the way?
It's rough. We're trying to get into level 4.
Yeah, well, luckily for you, I'm calling you, Stephanie, because we're actually hosting an educational seminar, not a pitch, on how to actually progress through the levels faster without burning any hearts so that Zelda can get home. Given that, I thought Link might be open to learning more, but Stephanie, since I have you on the phone, who do you suggest I should connect with?
Well, Link is eating his avocado toast, so I can maybe see if he would be free to talk. He would be the one.
He would be the one. Do you think, I wouldn't imagine he would be interested in this, would he, or do you think he would be?
I think he definitely would be interested.
Is this, I'm sorry for being, if this is a ridiculous question, but are you the one that manages his calendar?
I am, yes, yeah.
Would you be open to maybe carving out some time on his calendar to walk through this educational information?
Yeah, definitely, I can look at it.
Okay, so she didn't play hardball. But you see that approach? It's more based on education. If they said, send me some information, we can kind of talk about objections. But you're coming from a place of giving education, you're going to feel better, you're going to book more. Did Link respond? Let's say no. Let's go to email. What am I going to do in an email? I'm going to keep making deposits. Don't worry, we're going to get to the withdrawal. I promise you. Just give it a little time. We have 8 touches. Just be patient. Instead of asking for the withdrawal 8 times, let's make some deposits first. Just be patient. Here's my deposit. This map will show you where to find magic potions to replenish hearts. Here's my deposits that I send my prospects all the time. Here's a slideshow about how to write effective cold emails. These are lines in my email. No call to action. There's no call to action to get you in this room. Here's another one. Here's an SDR calculator to help you determine quota for each rep. Here's another one. Here's a 23-page guide on how to make good first impressions so you can start more conversations with prospects. Deposit, 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 deposit. Here's a free tool to help your reps diffuse the most common sales objections. If you follow me, my whole feed is full of deposits. And when you make deposits, people come to you because they feel like they want to reciprocate and respond in kind. It's why you're in this room and your prospects aren't any different. Here's a real SDR deposit from another one of the clients that I work with. This guy was prospecting into Home Depot, his whole company, for 4 years. Never got a response. Made 1 deposit. And I'll show you the actual email. So we're hosting in an email an educational event to show test teams, that's who he sells to, how usable their websites are for people with disabilities who are using adaptive technologies. This is what his prospects care about. They want to make sure their websites can be read with people that maybe can't see or can't hear. Notice, not a demo, an educational event, because we all want to level up. It's why you're in this room. And on the bottom, I booked the meeting for us first week in March. They haven't been able to crack that account for 4 years because people are starved for leveling up. And they just want to level up. Here's another real deposit, someone that sold me. This is Nellie. She bought my Badass B2B Growth Guide. She looked on page 7. And she sent me a voicemail message that essentially said, hey Josh, I got your guide. On page 7, I noticed some typographical errors and grammar mistakes. I actually corrected it and sent it to you in this PDF. Would you like to hire me? And I called her back immediately and said, give me a call, and I hired her on the spot. She didn't tell me she was a great copy editor. She actually just edited it and got to work. That's a deposit. Now, we've made 6 or 7 deposits. We're going to make a withdrawal. But I'm going to do it in a very different way than you've ever been taught. Because I don't like the hard sales pitch. I don't like someone thinking, Josh, I get it. I know you sell sales coaching. It just never felt good on my soul. I don't want to book a demo. I want to start a conversation, and there's a difference. One of them is, do you want a demo? Here's 30 minutes. How about 30 minutes? Floating this up, how about 30 minutes? How about it's no wonder 99% of the people just ignore you. You get a 2% response rate, but 98% of the people are upset. So here's a softer, nicer way to start a conversation that might turn into a demo. Here's my exact email. A link. It looks like you're using the brown sword to defeat enemies in level 3, which typically means you're losing 2 to 3 hearts. Crispy. And now look at this language, how nice this language is. Are you open to a lesser known idea that can potentially, because I don't know, help you defeat fiercer enemies in levels 4 through 8, but without losing any hearts? Are you open to it? Lesser known, curiosity. It might not be a fit because I don't know your situation. Again, nice language, but it helped Mario rescue Princess Peach in weeks instead of months. And the call to action. Either way, impressed by your warrior skills so far, Godspeed on your quest. And you guys are thinking, well, where's the call to action? People know how to respond to emails. They'll just respond. So this works really, really well, especially if you can't find the dirt on LinkedIn about your prospect. A lot of times there's just not enough meat and you're grasping, and people can feel the fake flattery. Like, are you really reading my post, or are you really just saying that to book a demo? Like, people are smart. People can smell fake flattery. So if you can't find anything, you can kind of go with universal truths for the people that you're selling to. So I know a lot about Link. Low friction calls to action, I call them. Instead of asking for a demo, it may not be a fit, but it helped X do Y. That's a low friction call to action. Another one, are you open to a lesser known idea? Another low friction call to action. This is based on some work by Chris Voss. Would it be a terrible idea if we had an email exchange to determine if a conversation even makes sense? Would that be a terrible idea? No is safe. If you go into a mall and a mall kiosk person says, can I ask you a question? You run the other way because you're going into a yes trap. Prospects hate yes traps because they know what's coming. No is safe. Feel free to say no if you don't see a fit, but does this sound interesting? Feel free to say no if you don't see a fit, but does this even sound interesting? And then I always like to end with either way. Either way, keep up the great work. It just feels so nice to write and so nice to receive. It's just polite. It's not asking and withdrawal. Did Link respond? He actually did. I actually have his email. That's actually the email from Will to Link. You guys saw it right there? Let me just show it to you again. Interested in learning more, can we chat Friday? When they met, Link was interested because there was a lot of deposits being made. He said, what do you guys do? And Link learned about a new weapon called a silver sword. Now, for those of you that don't know, the brown sword, you got to get close range. But that's the only thing Will knew. Silver sword, you can actually stand here and shoot daggers so you don't get hurt as much, and they're more powerful. So we learned about this. He didn't even know about it. The silver sword helped Link make progress, but without losing any hearts. He was able to go further, faster than ever before, so he switched. He fired the brown sword, and he hired the silver sword. Because when prospects switch, they have to switch from the unknown. They got to fire the old and hire the new. And ever since then, Link has been kicking way more ass in Hyrule. He's able to fight level 4 enemies without losing many hearts, but more importantly, the personal reason. He was able to do what, Kevin? He was able to rescue who? His love of his life, and they lived happily ever after. At the end, the moral of the story is this: people don't buy swords, they buy the superpower. I don't buy the aluminum sword, I buy what it allows me to do better, which is rescue the princess. Here's what our product does. Here's what our product allows you to do better. Those two things may sound similar, but they are completely different approaches from a copywriting perspective. People don't care about swords, they only care about superpowers. What is the awesome rad shit that I can now do better? So to burn this in, I've developed the first video game myself, and it's called this. Hey, everybody! It is time to play Sword or Superpower. Okay, now I want to try this just with the crowd because I'm just curious. So I'm going to just run this again. And when this comes out, I want you to go Sword or Superpower. Here we go. Hey, everybody. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Sword or Superpower. All right. We need a contestant to come up here. And we're going to go to Jessica. Come on down. You're the first contestant on Sword versus Superpower. Jessica, you're going to stand right over here. Jessica, where are you from?
India.
India. Whereabouts in India?
South.
Step forward a little bit so we don't get feedback. All right, now I'm going to show you on the screen a message.
Okay.
Do you know what this is, Jessica?
It's a Yeti.
Yeti mug. Are you familiar with Yeti mugs?
Only since last year.
Okay, so I'm going to show you some copy, some sales copy. And you're going to tell me if this is sword copy, meaning this is the functionality of the thing, or superpower, the awesome rad shit I can do better. So here's the copy. The Yeti tumbler is insulated with 3 layers of ceramic plyotex. Is that a sword or a superpower?
That is a sword.
Give it up for her! Oh my God! Now, let's see if you can actually turn that into a superpower message. The Yeti mug
Keeps your coffee cold for 12 hours so you're not
keeps it cold.
hot.
Yeah! You got to give it up for her right there. Thank you, Jessica, for playing. You can sit down. Nice job. The Yeti mug keeps hot things hot and cold things cold. I want you to teach this copywriting technique. Most of you are talking in sword speak. Let's burn it in. Sword or superpower? Kevin.
Oh, God.
DUI legal representation.
What about it?
Is it a sword or a superpower?
A sword.
Why?
It's some legal guy who's...
That doesn't help me do anything better. How can we turn that, all you people that drink, how can we turn that into a superpower message? Yeah?
Don't get arrested.
Stay out of jail. Stay out of jail. That's the superpower. This is a real example, Southwest. Real example. Someone's on the plane, and their Wi-Fi is not good. And they tweet out to Southwest this. The Wi-Fi isn't strong enough. Tricky one. Very few people get this one. Is that a sword or a superpower?
Sword.
Sword. Because Wi-Fi is a means to an end. And because it's a means to an end, when she actually tweeted, she said, paid $8 for Southwest Air, and it isn't strong enough to stream March Madness. Hold down the fort for me. What's the superpower she wanted, Alex? Alex?
It's Alex.
Alex, what's the superpower? What did she want?
To enjoy March Madness.
She wanted to enjoy March Madness. Luckily, the customer support representative took this class. So he wrote this back. Sorry to disappoint, Renee. Please know we limit access to certain bandwidth applications and websites. That said, you're up 34-32 at the half, Mike. To which she said, thanks, Mike. Any chance you could live tweet the second half for me? To which he said, Moret and Gooden both getting into foul trouble with 4 apiece, 8:30 to go, Xavier up 61-50, Mike. And that guy knows what a superpower is and won a customer over. Now I want to share a bonus that I've never shared until this tour. And the bonus is this. How do you read your customer's mind? Because you can't get it from marketing. So I want to show you how to do it. It's really difficult. You actually just have to talk to a customer. So it's hard, I know, but it's easy. So I'm going to show you a customer of mine. This person had cold call reluctance before she started working with me. So I wanted to know what was going on, and here's Jennifer.
This is Sharon calling with Wells Fargo. I saw that you put in your information and I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like, I knew this was going to happen. They have to do this. I do this for a living. I can empathize. And I was like, hey, I appreciate the call. And I know I gave you my information. Yes, I'm interested in a home purchase in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm working right now. I'm about to go into a meeting. Can I request a call back later? totally ignored that and just went right into a product pitch. Well, I'll only take a few minutes of your time. Did you know that? And I was like, you're not listening to me. I said, I understand you have to make these phone calls. I'm in a similar profession. I'm not available to talk to you right now. Can you please call me back later? Then she moves into appointment setting mindset. Well, I have tomorrow evening after 3. And if I wasn't really going into a meeting. The fact is I could have talked. I didn't want to. I didn't want to hear it. She was bothering me. I had other things to do. I did not have the time to be bothered with a sales pitch, period. I wasn't wanting to hear it. So I abruptly got off the phone with her, and I immediately thought, I don't want to ever be perceived as that.
Hear that energy? I don't ever, she went on.
But I procrastinate exercising because I don't enjoy it. I don't find my zen running. I don't get into my little tranquil space that runners get into. I've yet to ever find that. And so I will find everything, Josh, everything in the world to take its place. I will go on Pinterest and pin workouts, watch YouTube videos of workouts, make meal plans because I'm doing something that's related to the activity of exercising without doing the action itself. I will do that with prospecting. I will make lists. I will make call sheets. I will go on websites. I will research my bosses. I will go on their LinkedIn. I will see what books do they read? Where did they go to college? What do we have in common? What might I say to them were I to actually pick up the phone and call them? But then I'll find every reason in the world not to pick up the phone and call them. And I think, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Okay, so all we do is we just take that and we turn it into copy, high converting copy. So here's what it sounds like. Beth, noticed you sell into high schools, which prompted me to reach out because you might be looking for Superpower. In this case, her ICP is Principals of High Schools. Perhaps you've committed to making more cold calls in 2020. You make lists, go on websites, and even use LinkedIn to research where your prospects went to college, and then realize it's 5 o'clock and you haven't picked up the phone. Did I make up that language? I'm just lifting it and putting it in here. And now I'm going to empathize. Look, I get it. It's like a person would talk. You don't want to be associated with those icky telemarketers who don't take no for an answer. It's no wonder the phone feels like a cactus. At this point, she's like, oh my God, you get me. You get me. What if you could book a steady flow of meetings, but without selling your soul? We can discuss the details, of course. Here's a low friction call to action, another one. But I just wanted to see if this is something you'd even be open to learning about. See how nice? It's just like going to yoga instead of CrossFit. Either way, I'm a big fan. There's my either way, I love it, of keeping your students safe. That's a low friction call to action. Really nice. I know what you're thinking. Josh, those are all made up examples. Show me some stuff from real SDRs. Okay, I will. Here's real letters, remerge. Imagine you download Grubhub. You spend $10 driving people into the app, they only use it once. Expensive problem. Remerge brings people back into the app. So this SDR sent someone a letter. Her name is Jessica. Here's the letter. I'll read part of it to you. Dear Hillary, here's that tension breaker. I hope this reaches you well. I haven't contacted anyone via snail mail in years, but I figured you might get a kick out of receiving an actual letter, because this is how people talk. They don't usually talk and say, I noticed your post on this. You want to book a demo. This is just like a conversation, a tension breaker. Right? Now she was a little harder on this one. Considering this probably took a week to reach you, I'll get straight to the point. We help gaming app developers soar Superpower, bring lapsed users back so you can drive more in-app purchases. We've been laser focused on this mission for over 3 years, and it shows. On average, our campaigns achieve a 250% return on ad spend. So my point is, if increasing revenue is your thing, I'm your girl. And then she says, as a small token of gratitude, I've included a recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies, get it, cookies, retargeting, you've ever had, along with a photo of a pug that agrees. If you don't hate pugs or cookies, I'd love to connect. I promise to be in touch via email too, but only when you least expect it. And then she actually sends a recipe with the pug that says, these taste almost as good as increasing revenue feels, and she actually gets a hit on that first email. He writes her back immediately. They book a meeting. She didn't even need to make additional deposits. Another SDR sent a similar letter, this guy Scott. The prospect liked the letter so much that he retweeted the letter.
Wow.
I was monitoring the prospect, but the SDR wasn't. So I called the SDR and I said, you know, your prospect retweeted your letter. And he goes, what should I do? And I said, maybe you should fucking call him. I don't know. Jimmy noticed that his prospect liked Justin Timberlake. So he wrote this. To sweeten the deal, I've included a picture of Justin Timberlake in his younger days. Frosted tips and all. You won't regret our call. This I promise you. trying to make people feel like the photo JoJo, and he actually includes Justin Timberlake. Now, it's hard to see with the lights, but Jimmy made a big mistake in this letter at the end. What's missing at the end? There's no contact information. The prospect looked at the return address label and wrote him back a letter in a green envelope.
Wow.
And here's the letter. I applaud your genius method of getting me to read your cold contact. I don't want to be that girl, but I'd like to take this time to highlight your rookie error. You have neglected to include your contact info, and I have to say it's tearing up my heart. I've included a picture of JT reflecting on your mistake. And at the bottom, she said this. This is an example of contact details that could have been included. And they booked a meeting and they had a great laugh because Jimmy made her feel good. Do you remember Leo from the beginning of the story? The guy I sent all those emails to? When I got his email, I picked up the phone and I called him, and he picked up. He said, hello, this is Leo, and this is exactly what I said 15 years ago. I said, hello, Leo, this is Josh, and I'm just calling to apologize. And he said, apologize for what? I go, for sending you those terrible emails. I'm new at this job. I'm sorry. And Leo spent 2 hours with me teaching me how to be an SDR. He gave me an MBA in sales. I eventually went to see him because we started to talk about an opportunity. And every time I went, I would wear colorful socks. And he would always comment on them. He was always looking forward to them. We eventually booked a 6-figure deal. That was 15 years ago. 3 months ago, it was Leo's anniversary. He still works for the same company. So I shot him off a message on LinkedIn. And I said, congrats on the work anniversary. It's been a long time, brother. Hope all is well. And Leo wrote this back. Hi, Josh. Thanks for the note. What are you doing these days? Still wearing those cool socks? I don't remember what I sold Leo. He probably doesn't remember what he bought, but he never forgot how I made him feel. Go make your prospects feel good. Thank you guys very much.